Hello, everybody. This is the Landry Football Podcast Network. I am Chris Landry, getting you ready for kickoff this week 3 of college football. You can get detailed film room analysis of all these games over at LandryFootball.com. The coaching and scouting angle, what the film room says about these teams, these games, college, NFL, we've got it for you. So make sure that you check that out at LandryFootball.com. But we want to offer you maybe some advice, some ideas of some of the things that we like here in the games. As maybe some of you play fantasy football in college, we're going to offer you some thoughts there. So hold on to your hat there, and we'll see if we can help you some. A reminder: you can help us signing up for Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel, where you can get this show, but also sign up for the Landry Football Podcast Network, where you can get all the shows, part of the Landry Football Podcast Network, all the NFL, all the colleges, all the conference shows that we have, SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12. You're just a fan of a particular conference, sign up for SEC football and beyond, or Big 10 football and beyond, and what have you. So we appreciate you joining us. Some things that jump out, surveying the landscape here. A couple of things. BYU, Oregon. BYU's playing really well. They're one of the more experienced teams in college football. They're off the 2-0 start. They've got that win against Baylor. It's a big test for BYU. They're heading to Oregon to play the Ducks, but the Cougs are playing pretty well. In some respects, they're a little bit more talented. I'm curious to see where this goes. If you're going to play this game, I think this is going to be a tougher game. I'd avoid it, but I've been asked a lot about it. It would be tough for me, even at home, to pull the plug on Oregon, so I say stay away from it. But if you go with it, you get BYU and you get some points. I'm taking it. That's the play there if you're going to play it. Liberty, Wake Forest. The under 63.5. Known more for their offenses. The Demon Deacons have been pretty sneaky stout on defense, particularly against the run, where they ranked 14th nationally. Liberty, on the other hand, has survived only on the run game since Malik Willis's departure. So they're, it's early in the season, but they're 102 in national passing. Now they're going to get better with that, but their respective strengths and weaknesses combined for an under pick here. So that game screams over to most people. I say it's under. For Iowa, Nevada, you know where I'm going here. The under 39. This is pretty simple. Both Nevada and Iowa have been offensive disasters thus far this season, with the Hawkeyes combining for just 14 points in their first two games. Where the strength lies for both of these squads is their defense. Both rank within the top 30. Iowa's defense is really good. Nevada's is good on their level. Iowa's is good on any level. Total is pretty low. Reflects how bad they are. But there's still a good shot they go under. So if you're going to play anything on this game, play under. There's a chance that Iowa could have a little bit of a breakout offensively. They could break out. What does that mean? 24 points? I don't know that Nevada is going to score that much against Iowa. So I think that Iowa, even if they score 28 points in this game, they still likely the overall under is going to be in play here. Look, if you look at where maybe some other thoughts is a couple of things. Look at the odds. Make sure that you pay attention of what's going on during the week. The best way is to get updates, like for us at LandryFootball.com, on what's going on in practice, what's going on with injuries, and look for teams that are coming off a bad performance. And look for rebound games. Wisconsin minus 5.5, for example. Maybe A&M at home. Embarrassing loss. Now, they're favorite. So be wary there because you're laying points on a team that's struggling offensively. I'm not suggesting that. But do not overreact to what you've seen thus far and say, I saw that team play. They're awful. No, they were awful that game. That doesn't always translate. Want to get some other thoughts? Again, go to LandryFootball.com. we've got a conference by conference breakdown of every game. So maybe you're on a game, maybe you like a game, maybe you just want to get another viewpoint of what the film room says and how these teams have played. Go to LandryFootball.com. Look, try it out for a month. It's very simple. It's $9.99 a month. Or take advantage of the football season sale, which will get you all the football season, all the recruiting, all the NFL draft, all the free agency in the NFL. Takes you all year round because we don't stop. Football never stops for us. So take advantage of that. Check that out and go into the conference games and the matchups and get a feel for kind of how we see the games. That may help you, may confuse you, but I think it'll give you a better feel for where things are. Want to also remind you, sign up for Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel. If you would do that, this is why we do it. We do it for you, to help you. We've got tons of stuff. Everything college football related, we put that on Off the Hook Sports. If you go to Landry Football Podcast channel, sign up for that. That's free to do. All of these are free to do. Sign up for the Landry Football Podcast channel. That'll get you all of our podcasts. It'll get you college football, NFL, inside information. What's Nebraska thinking on their coaching searches inside? We're involved in Landry Football Operations, which is a part of Landry Football LLC. I serve as a coaching search consultant to a lot of college programs and NFL teams. So we'll give you an idea. What has been the history of Nebraska football? Where is it now? Why is it fallen off? Where do you go from here? Those are all things we try to give big picture and then focusing it down on the games and the players and the teams and the schemes on the college and NFL level. So check it all out at LandryFootball.com and sign up for the Landry Football Podcast channel. Make sure, though, that you support the Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel. Some people, it's maybe not as popular as the NFL, but some other things I'm looking at in betting is kind of an individual play that's become bigger, that's maybe fantasy oriented. Here's some things I'm looking at. Devon Cooper, the wide receiver from Syracuse versus Purdue, under 52.5 receiving yards. When I kind of looked at the way that Garrett Schrader's played for Syracuse, I'm not necessarily backing Cooper just because he's listed in there at that number, but he's tied for the team in targets with 6. He's reeled in 4 of them for 60 yards against Louisville, where he ran 23 routes, most on the team, alternating evenly between the slot and outside. Last week against Connecticut, he only ran 11 routes, catching all 3 targets for 32 yards. With Cooper being one of 6 receivers to receive multiple targets in the contest, the competition for playing time with Damian Alford, Aronde Gadsden, Courtney Jackson, DeMarcus Adams, and Trevor Pena all going over 40 receiving yards while recording more snaps. Well, with the receiver depth chart still coming together, there's no guarantee that Cooper's going to receive the kind of number one workload needed to clear the 52.5 receiving yard mark. So be careful on that one. It looks like a teaser there, but I think as they're branching out their offense, I'm thinking under if you want to play that. Jalen Brooks, the wide receiver from South Carolina versus Georgia. Again, under 37.5 receiving yards. Last week against Arkansas, Brook ran 41 routes, catching 2 or 3 passes for 29 yards. Okay, 6.7 yards and a 1 yard per route average. The fact that he tied for 5th on the team in targets, despite getting more snaps in a game where Spencer Rattler aired it out for 376 passing yards, is really troubling here. James Madison transfer Antoine Juice Wells is the clear number 1 in this offense, with the tight end Austin Stogner catching all 5 of his targets against Arkansas. With Arkansas State transfer Corey Rucker now considered questionable after not playing in the first 2 games. Small issue. Go under here. You'll want to play matchups like this. You can make some money on this. So wherever you do your betting, Jalen Brooks, the wide receiver from South Carolina, against this Georgia defense, under 37.5 receiving yards. Brock Bowers, the tight end of Georgia, South Carolina. Look, last year Bowers went under the mark in 10 of 15 games of 60.5 receiving yards. While this year he went under in each of the first two. You've got Darnell Washington, the preferred blocking option, while Bowers still logged 46 snaps this week and couldn't hit the mark. Eventually, we'll see Eric Gilbert increase in his 12 snaps per game average. It's doubtful South Carolina is going to give Georgia much of a fight. That's going to lessen the need to throw the ball. So you think, oh, Brock Bowers going to kill South Carolina with a bunch of receiving yards. Look, it could happen with a couple of big plays. But I'm saying Georgia, much better than South Carolina, will likely win and not have to throw it as much, spread the ball around more. I'm thinking under 60.5 receiving yards for Brock Bowers. A couple of things I'm looking at too. Lorenzo Styles, the wide receiver from Notre Dame. I'm going over 42.5 receiving yards for him. I think that Styles getting the ball in space is the top priority. You saw that against Marshall. I know they didn't win, but that's going to be the focus. Go Lorenzo Styles, wide receiver Notre Dame, over 42.5 yards. For Christopher Brooks, the running back at BYU, going against Oregon. Look, Brooks looks great against South Florida. He had no such luck against Baylor. Lapino Coata rushed 9 times for 26 yards against Baylor. I think under 60.5 rushing yards for Christopher Brooks against Oregon, who's got an underrated defense. Noah Kane, the running back at LSU versus Mississippi State. John Emery missed the first 2 games with academic issues. He's expected back from Mississippi State. Keep an eye out on that and get a definite on this before you move on this. But that's an issue because Noah Kane saw 7 carries and 1 touchdown against Florida State. Armani Goodwin got 5 carries for 14 yards. However, in the blowout win against Southern, Kane received 12 carries for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. They're playing a stout Mississippi State defensive front that shut down Arizona with John Emery likely to play. I'm saying Noah Kane, running back LSU, bet under 30 and 37.5 rushing yards. Those are some betting options for you to consider. Hopefully help you as you get ready for week 3 starting action. Sign up for Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel. Sign up for the Landry Football Podcast Network, where you get all of our information from a scouting and coaching viewpoint on college football, and on Landry Football Podcast Network, the NFL as well. Appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you next time.